So welcome to Get YouTube Done Now on-air workspace session. I am Majesty AliNICOLE Wow, and I am the founder and creator of the Tube-preneur Factor Evolution. And I am joined once again by my dear star queen, Celebrity-preneur Protégé, Gina Gardiner, and excited to have her back in the workspace session, because we're just going to do a short workspace session today and kind of bring you up to speed on where Gina is in terms of the progression with her channel development and just new emergings, and also have some exciting news because we're going to be launching a podcast for Get YouTube Done Now that's going to be hosted by Gina and I, and it'll be something different than the workspace session that we do in this series. So very excited about that. Gina, welcome back, and thank you, of course, for
Thank you very
being
much.
here.
I'm looking forward to today. There's just so much going on.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And there's so much going on. You've had, some tremendous expansion to take place, and the development that's been happening, and everything. And so it's been pretty phenomenal for sure. And so before we jump in to kind of start moving the momentum forward in terms of where you're going to be sort of going now, do you want to provide some quick updates just in terms of some of the progression that's been taking place?
So it's 3 weeks since I actively started to use YouTube in a very different way.
Yeah.
So for those of you that haven't heard yet some of the trainings that we've done, I've been using YouTube for about 3 or 4 years, and I had 315 subscribers to my Genuinely You with Gina Gardiner YouTube channel. And I used YouTube as the repository for videos, a whole series of different videos there, online coaching, how-to videos that are around supporting people in their growth to own their genuine power as individuals and also as leaders. But from the work that we've been doing, I've started to recognize that YouTube has the power to become an incredibly powerful marketing strategy. And so, following on from a training with AliNICOLE, I started to use YouTube Shorts. Now, there's YouTube Shorts which are less than 1 minute, less than 60 seconds, videoed, generally speaking, on the phone and uploaded from there, but also short videos that are less than 5 or 6 minutes, are very focused on a particular topic. And so they're the 2 strands that I've been focusing on. So in the first instance, I actually just went, well, before I say about that, let me just also say, in the past, all of my videos have been about my work and helping people understand themselves better, or looking at aspects of leadership. So they've all been very focused around different industries. So for empaths, for business leaders, for entrepreneurs, for people who are leading a team, and so on. The other departure is not just about the style of video, but the focus of the video. And one of the things that AliNICOLE talks about is that, we need to enable people to see who we are in order for them to like, respect, and trust who we are. If they're going to buy from us, if they're going to listen to us, that credibility is more than just our qualifications and our experiences, who we are as people authentically. And so the big departure for me has been that I've used my life as the theme. And so if you go and look at my shorts, you'll see a lot of them about my cat Leo, and there's much to learn from Leo, who incidentally is convinced I'm his slave, but also the animals that I have great contact with. And there's been several of my friends who I see very regularly have in the last few months got puppies. and they visit, much to Leo's disgust. And so I have been taking videos, and they've been sharing videos of their puppies, particularly Sid and Lenny and Will. But my garden is a big part of my life, and I have a publication, My Garden, the Window of my Soul. And so sharing my garden and the natural world, which is where I feel most connected to God, to consciousness, to source, whatever you choose to call it. And so I've been using those, and I just trawled through my phone of the videos that would be suitable. And I put those up as YouTube shorts. I have to say I'm gobsmacked at which videos are really popular. There is a 9-second video of a chipmunk who is under some branches, and you can just see the tail going, and he's squeaking in time with the tail. So it's going chip, 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 chip. And I put that on. The title is, In My Previous Life, I Was a Metronome. That's had over 12,500 views.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of this is to get your visibility, your time on YouTube up, because that way you have opportunities on YouTube that you wouldn't have otherwise. So I used all of the short videos that I had on my phone, but I've also been making videos, particularly around my books, and also starting when I have an experience to capture it. So we were talking just before the recording, we've had the most torrential rain over the last week, but 3 nights in a row there've been beautiful rainbows. And so I've just taken a very short video, I think it's something like 20 seconds of the rainbow, and sharing those. So I've been sharing me. The results have been quite interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So 3 weeks ago, 315 subscribers. The last time I looked, which was actually last night, 407 subscribers.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you've had some significant catapults and views on certain videos, because one of the videos with Lenny had 22K views, over 22K views. And that's, that's phenomenal in terms of a channel that was not necessarily getting visibility a certain way, because there was not, the consistency there, in different things. And so there's been some significance that's happened. And one of the concepts that I teach in terms of, non-linear marketing or non-linear focuses actually help to increase, your not just your subscribers, but also just kind of the popularity, if you will, in terms of the channel becoming more of a multi-interest focused channel than just singularly focus on a specific, core aspect. And sometimes it is the non-linear approaches that we take that tend to open up the greater expansion for other opportunities, and it helps to build the momentum. And so having these different variations of the short form videos, yeah, it's been phenomenal. And like you said, within 3 weeks of exploring and doing different forms of the videos in a way that you had not been, you see the significance that's had for you versus when you were doing it just in a standard traditional way. And some may be thinking, oh, well, that doesn't seem like a big growth in numbers. Or so the difference here with Get YouTube Done Now and what we do is we focus on figures versus followers in terms of business building in YouTubepreneurship versus just being a YouTuber that's trying to gain popularity, hoping that it will lead to profits. When you're doing a business focus, you have to set the channel up for profitability, which may not in the beginning of that initiative yield a massive amount, of subscribers or so, because in the business model, you don't actually need a whole lot of subscribers, but you want to set it up where it is the consistency in terms of the popularity and the profitability, and you get to actually see the stages of how it happens. So something like what's going on with Gina is she's seeing with the growth and progression, which actually is very massive in momentum, when a channel, as she mentioned, was 315 for the longest in a sense, and then now seeing the growth that's happened in 3 weeks with her doing the exploration. We're really just embarking on this new adventure of using shorts, videos that she never used before. And then, as she said, it's kind of astounding just in terms of the ones that are
Go figure. I think it's important to say too that I now have ready to go out scheduled videos.
Yes, right.
And they're now scheduled to the second week in January. Now we're filming this in the second week in November. So I will add things as I go along, and the plan is to add things every week as well as the scheduled ones. But for me, I'm someone who likes to be well prepared. I don't like to be under the cosh. And so I can relax. If there's a day when I'm not going to put something on, I don't have to worry. There's still that consistency.
Exactly. And that's what you want there. And that's the whole part of really getting YouTube done now, is so that the channel has consistency. Leveraging the short form videos helps to keep the channel consistent with what I teach and talk about in terms of having base content. So when you are in business and you have syndication, when you think about a broadcasting network or television network, so to speak, they have a syndicated schedule. And, no matter what is going on, if they have everything programmed, it's automatically broadcasting. And so that's the same in this initiative, is where when you already have a base of content that is going to post for your audience, you can be, as Gina mentioned, you can be comfortable and secure that there is something there, but you're not limited to the base content. You're able to continue to upload other things, but just knowing that there's something there. And with YouTube, that's very important in terms of the consistency and the retention is another thing that I talk about in terms of the watch time. So if YouTube starts to trust the channel more, even when the algorithms can be a little iffy, but the channel trustability builds up more when there is the consistency. And doing it with the short form videos is perfect, because it's not requiring the audience to be engaged for a long period of time. But when they can see kind of a strand of those short form videos, it is building up the retention, the watch time on the channel, but it's not causing people to have to stay there so long that they kind of disconnect. They're actually excited to see, what's going to be coming up again. And because she's got a variety of travel and the animals, the pets and different things, it's very interesting. And so that's the thing, is that people getting to know that part and that side of her channel is genuinely you, right? So we're showing genuinely Gina in multiple formats, because those are parts of her experience that other people can connect to. So where I think we can go today in terms of just doing some short, kind of a short workspace session here, is that where Gina is now is really in the profitability aspect in terms of making the impact and income initiative, kind of taking that to another level. So she mentioned in terms of she's been showcasing her books and her publications, and something that I had suggested to her was to start filming her publications, even if they're silent videos, no talking. And I actually want to bring something up about that real quick, because and one of my recommendations in terms of broadcast publications kind of back to back, and see kind of the momentum, and it's interesting, the one that doesn't have any sound is the one that has the most kind of views and everything. Another mind-blowing thing, right?
I won't read too much into the fact that they don't want to listen to me.
No, that's not it at all, because your voice is astounding. Of course, everybody loves your voice, and you've definitely been told that for sure. But sometimes it is just where things are placed, and but I do notice, even with my own, a lot of times that the short few seconds, no talking, and just because what it gives them an opportunity is to actually focus on the product. Focus on what it is. Because think about it, even though you can talk and be explaining or doing some demonstration, even that can be a little bit distracting in a sense, where maybe they just need to get the glimpse of what the product is, what the book is, and then if there's the text that says it's available on Amazon or link in the description, then they can do that. You know, they can follow the directions there. So it's always good to have a variety of those, which, you know, that's what you were doing, providing one where you're actually talking and sharing. And I recommend that because I do that. But I have noticed too for myself that for ones that are just the pictures, not pictures, excuse me, but just the video of the actual publication or so. Yeah, it's crazy. That's like that gets the most views and likes and you know, and different things, you know, like that. And so so anyhow, my point in bringing that up is that that's one of the consistent marketplace profitability builders too, is when you can showcase publications and different, you know, products or so that help people to understand more of the nature of the channel, more of the nature of what you do and what you offer. And those are very easy yes offerings. And when you have a plethora of publications like we both do, that is consistency within itself. So the channel has the balance in terms of here's the free value in terms of, if you want to call it entertainment, edutainment, in terms of the travel videos and the ones with the pets and just other different aspects that you've been providing. And then you have the ones where with the publications. So that's giving people an opportunity to make small investments, which obviously can lead to bigger investments, you know, as well. So with that being said, you've been scheduling publications because Gina has how many, at least 40 publications or so?
With where I've contributed to other books, then yes, it's approaching 40.
Okay, yeah, somewhere in that. And then she's even got publications of mine, and I've actually been featuring one of hers that I have here, you know, as well. And so it's great for cross promotion and different things. And my point in bringing this up is that you never run out of content to showcase that's valuable. And when you actually have even a network of individuals that you can collaborate with, because Gina and I both have actually shared videos of each other. She shares videos of my grand dog, and I've used some of the videos that she has had real top rankings in, and with the animals and different things like that. So again, providing different levels of content for different levels of audiences, I should say, if interest, it's good where you never run out because you can collaborate with other people and do the cross promotion, cross value adding, really is what I call it. So yeah, so Gina, what we can do now very quickly is let's talk about how we start to leverage the publications, because you're going to be having those in syndication too, how we can actually start to segue some of those into the in the box training components that you have or other offerings and opportunities. So kind of looking at in terms of even YouTube shorts or short form videos is when you're showcasing the book, and let's say you are just talking and you can mention that there's a companion training to this. So there's a couple of ways that you can consider doing this. One where you're putting the text, see link in the description for publication and companion offerings. And then one where you're talking like how you are with the book, and then again you can introduce or let them know that there are other companions, you know, to this. And another great thing that could be considered too is when featuring book series, because you have series, you know, of books. And so if you're going to be showcasing those, if each of those have an in the box, you know, type of training or a cohesive one, it could be good to consider doing a little mini talk and then use a YouTube short to lead into that mini talk that can then kind of flesh it out a little bit more to give you an opportunity to talk about the actual in the box product type of trainings.
And certainly that it's interesting because it closes the circle. And so I always in articles I've led people to the books or led people to the both the online self-study and other courses and programs and workshops that I offer. But this is using YouTube, and both in terms of a YouTube short, but also in terms of then using it articles
short form.
sending people to the YouTube short.
Right.
So it literally closes the circle.
Yes, it does.
And whatever approach people are using in terms of looking for information or just finding something that resonates with them, there's something to suit everybody.
Absolutely. And that's how you, as a marketplace development, that's what you definitely want to be foundational with, because even though they are lower hanging fruit initiatives that lead to other expansions, when you have a consistency around this and more visibility on these types of opportunities, then it becomes massive in terms of impact and increase, for sure. And then there's the opportunity as well with even the publications, is that you can also talk about being booked to speak, but of course speaking the evolution of the work. And so that's just a good way to lead into, those opportunities of, and here's something that's coming to mind is using YouTube Shorts, is that let's say that you have a particular publication series. And so you can talk about, I enjoy talking about this aspect in terms of, I'm just going to use your Enlightened Leadership series real quick. Okay. And this aspect of enlightened leadership and what most don't know in terms of the importance of this particular area. And so I have an in-the-box companion product to, these particular publications. But also I teach a workshop, a virtual workshop, and there's information in the description that you can learn about that, more about that or so. So there's just ways that you can start leveraging this as we talk about closing the gap, but also too, the opportunity for there to be a lucrative looping. See, that if we're going to do some rinse and repeating or have some defaults, we want them to be divine defaults, right?
Absolutely.
And being able to create, is one of my works talks about creating a wealthy web, where there are people who are in your ecosystem at that point, they're in your economy and they want to be there and they're looking for what is the next thing that you have. But when you actually provide the cohesiveness and the holistic experience, like within a series and the products, that's going to keep them for a minute in terms of their development. But because they're short form types of experiences, they actually move themselves through those fairly quickly, and then they're ready to actually go on to the next thing. And so being able to leverage YouTube in this way to have that consistent segue, but also too, it's interesting how YouTube works, is because how social media can be like a word of mouth type of thing, is that you get one person buzzing about something and then others get excited about that too. And the good thing about having the YouTube shorts and other short form videos is that you get to continuously leverage those for evergreen marketing. So whether it is in blog post or even with YouTube with the community tab or so, and people starting to be more connected, because if they miss something, it can be rebroadcast in that feature, in that component. But there's so many opportunities to continue to loop that in some way where it gets to a wider range of exposure to audience. And anytime you can have certain publications too, like you have a variety where it pertains to different elements of life that are going to be common to most and interesting to most. And so having features of those And then if you have any other extensive products around it, if you don't, I would consider actually providing something of that nature. And even if it is still a lower hanging fruit product where you actually just get on and you provide some type of training that you've recorded, and it could be a very short 30-minute training or so, and then you do a YouTube short, around that, particular initiative. So those are some good developmental aspects to continue to use too in the profitability building for the consistency, for sure. Yeah. So something I want to bring up real quick, and then, we'll have some closing dialogue here, is for others listening, when setting up a channel in this nature and positioning yourself for more of the higher end advantage is, again, you want to be able to have the lower hanging fruit aspects, but set it up where it's massively for landslide sales with consistency. So like with Gina, we've been talking in terms of her, well, I guess you all say, no, you've been talking in terms of her starting for this next level with the publications. And because she has, like I said, series, that within itself is landslide selling, and then any other companion opportunities for that continues to be that that adding value. So that's in the high volume selling initiative. But then her being able to start talking more about some of the higher end work that she would like for people to engage her in, and she can help facilitate them. Using YouTube shorts and short form videos is going to be tremendous, because this is business building. That's why she doesn't have to have a lot of eyes on her channel in terms of the popularity aspect with tons of thousands of subscribers, is that she's going to be able to be more targeted. So Gina, do you want to speak to that?
I think with anything, it's very easy to get caught up in the illusion that having big numbers means that you will make a big success of anything. And it's very easy to get caught up in just trying to chase the numbers. For me, I think recognizing that I'm here to serve people, to actually help them, I think that it's about making sure that I'm targeting the people who are likely to need and to want my help and who are ready for it. Right. And so it's horses for courses, really, providing different things at different levels for people who are ready for whatever stage, I think is important. And the numbers are nice, but recognizing that they are just one aspect, and not to get too tied up with that.
Right. And that is important. And something, as I teach in terms of the revenue recognition aspect, is that you want to create the win-win, where you want to develop a ROI, or return on investment, in your time, as well as what, of course, they are participating. Because one thing about gaining a lot of subscribers is that people, yes, they will come because there's free content, there's different things, and not understanding that it takes time for development of these things.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to position for some level of investment and have some praise that pays and feedback that will feed you back, right? And so that's why having the opportunities, even through publications and those different aspects for the consistency, is giving people an opportunity to definitely create the win-win, for sure. So because to have tons of subscribers and not be able to profit from the experience, yeah, that's not a win-win. And again, we're talking about business. If people are they're just YouTubers and influential individuals, and they want to spend their time gracing people with tons of free content or so, that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But being
it's not what we're talking about, is it?
No, exactly. No, we're talking about YouTubepreneurship. So Yeah, so the building aspect has to be different, and actually paying attention to how things are actually working, so that, as Gina said, it's nice to definitely have the subscribers for sure. But I teach that, it's more of a cosmetics aspect, but not necessarily a cash flow aspect. And even when it is, it's kind of a harder route to it. When you lay the strong foundation, and Gina and I have been doing countless trainings, have training products around how you actually develop and establish the YouTubepreneurship, aspect, and build your YouTube business the right WRITE way. Yeah, and even when you don't even need subscribers to actually monetize, but actually being able to pay attention to how things are being developed is pretty fascinating to witness. And then it also gives the opportunity for individuals to see why cash flow doesn't happen when they're leveraging the traditional systems. Gina, I want to ask you this before we get ready to close out. So as you're seeing the nonlinear growth in terms of numbers, right? With so you can just imagine that the nonlinear approaches to how you position for business and opportunity works pretty much the same, right?
I think so. And ultimately, those who putting all their eggs in one basket, that may have worked in the past, but I don't think it's going to work moving forward.
No, it's not. And actually it's worked for a few, but not the great majority. And when people can actually start to be more intentional and take a different approach to how they set up for YouTube, because what happens, Gina, this, is that a lot of times people will they'll get on and they start thinking, yes, let me get popular, let me be this influencer, and they hope that that will lead to the profitability. And even though others have been successful with that to a certain extent, for the great majority, that's not how it works. You actually have to, it's best to lay the solid foundation and allow yourself to go from what I call ground zero to a high-end hero using YouTubepreneurship aspects. You're going to appreciate the journey more, and you're going to see how it puts you ahead of the game, where when you're no subscribers in between that 500 mark, that's a very significant time to actually build the business and focus on the business building aspect than even having so many eyes, on your channel at this point. And it gives you an opportunity to see, kind of in an incubation type of stage, what's actually developing. And so me bringing this up, Gina, again, because she's actually having to learn YouTube on different levels now too, right? That's been yeah.
And inevitably, there's always not new stuff to learn, not only in terms about the technicality, but in terms of the application and how that's going to fit in with your business and where you are in your evolution too.
Right. And that's important, because a lot of times people actually don't take the time or opportunity to actually know the platform.
Yeah.
And to also try to understand it from a business perspective. It's more than just, oh, let me shoot videos and load them up and see who comes. There's actually a science to this. It's a method to the lucrative madness.
The big thing is using these things strategically, looking at what's the end goal and then reverse engineering back in terms of how do I get there. And like many people, when I first started using YouTube, I had a view of how to use it.
Right.
But it was a bit like the tip of the iceberg, that I was using a very tiny percentage of its capacity to help me as a business owner and entrepreneur. And gradually the magnitude of the iceberg is being revealed, and I've no doubt there's much more to come. But you don't know what you don't know, and it's not until you start to listen to to people who are further ahead than you, who are using things in an expanded way, that you then are able to do the same. And the interesting thing is then, for me, that sparks off, well, I could do this, and I haven't thought of that. So it's not just following things slavishly, it's
Right.
understanding the principles and then making it your own.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that was so magnificently stated. And I loved what you just said in terms of slavishly. And that is very key. That's a whole nother training within itself, you know, for sure. So before we wrap up here, in terms of what you can start moving forward with for kind of this next phase, how do you feel about that? I know you mentioned in terms of, it feels like, okay, the cycle, it is completing the cycle, but in terms of it being very manageable and doable for this phase, how do you feel about that?
So I've got plans. The next sort of stage for me is to take each of my books and my products, of which I have many, and to start to create, if you like, mini sets, mini productions, in terms of,
Yes.
right, this is the product, these are the books that go with it. This is the mini talk about the individual books and the set and the product, and this is the YouTube short. So I want to be quite planned and systematic about that. You know me, I like a schedule. But to create something that for me is cohesive, because if it's cohesive, then it becomes manageable.
Right.
And to set aside time to, you know, have a production day, and you know, on this production day, that's what I'm going to get done, and then take another day to do the background work and schedule. And then once they're scheduled, you can forget about them. They're there, and you can move on to the next thing. So by being what sounds like creating more work, in the sense of creating my overall plan, actually creates less work, because I'm not duplicating things or leaving great gaps. And so I have it on my page, my plan of how things, the opportunities for dovetailing and connection. But I don't want it to be everything to be the same. So this isn't a cookie cutter. This is just a plan. I can take each set of books and projects, products, and opportunities for people, and I will create out of this different variations that. And then I will test it, and some will work better than others. I mean, interestingly, the books with no sound, which I thought would be the least popular, most. Now, it may just be because
how it's set up in the
that's not the research. I will do it over a period of time, and then we'll find out what's working and do more of that.
Right.
But for me, you know, between now and Christmas, I would like by Christmas to have each of the existing books and products to have their own mini, when I say program, structure.
I love it.
And then to have done as many of those filming, because effectively the only thing I'm filming is the short talk and the YouTube short. So the time is in the planning, really, and getting the wording to go in the descriptions and so on. The actual videoing is going to be very small beer.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, and that is how you get YouTube done, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you get YouTube done. Gina is the queen of getting YouTube done, for sure. And I'm going to have in the description the links to her previous segment that she's been a part of in terms of the workspace session. But also, as I mentioned, you know, Gina has become quite the YouTube authority, and we've done some trainings, and I want people to understand is that as you learn, you're able to go out and then teach others, and then also take the experience that you've had, because people they build upon that too for themselves, because people are here to help shorten the learning curves. And so whether you're sharing from a 1 or 2 steps ahead expert position or years in the game, all of it counts, and it's all very helpful in terms of people being able to move forward. So something Gina said that was important is that when you can learn from others who've actually been doing it, but actually not just learn from other people who've been doing it, because one thing I find is that people have success, but what was successful for them doesn't mean it's going to be successful for everyone. And so one of the things that I like to do is to create the experience where people can actually customize their success. Now, of course, there are fundamentals and the general premise of core fundamentals, of course, that people are going to have to do in terms of learning the platform and how to apply certain things. But then you do kind of find your own way, for sure, what's going to be, you know, successful for you. But it does help to have the guidance and to have the support. And like whenever we're doing different workspace sessions and we are the on-air and off-air, we're brainstorming and also doing what I call brandstorming as well, looking at the next iteration of the branding, you know, that's coming through. Is you do have to have individuals who have that insight, have that awareness. And in these sessions, it's a combination of different things. It's a combination of training, of consulting, of coaching, mentoring. It's a whole combination of cross-functional advisory that takes place. And so, but one thing I love so much about Gina is the fact that she's very open, and the fact too that she is definitely someone who wants to create a plan, even if it's a tentative plan. She's not always married to it, and we should never be just fully married to it, in terms of not allowing it to be flexible, but being able to experiment and try different things and be surprised by what works and what doesn't work as well. But it all works together, you know, for sure. Would you agree, Gina?
Absolutely. And there are people who are better doing things always off the cuff. I know myself, and I know that I am far better when I create for myself a structure. I'm not wedded to it. I'm very flexible about it. It's just a starting point, and I find that's really helpful.
Absolutely. It is very helpful. So I'm excited of where things are moving. Like I said, with you, and things are progressing. It's like so much. I feel like there's like a whole lot that's happened, so much that we're probably not even saying, but that's okay, because you know, in the grander scheme of things, as things continue to progress, can come back with more of a more cohesive from here to here, you know, type of story. But it's just phenomenal. And these key details of being able to pay attention to what's happening in these incremental stages is just, it's invaluable, you know, for sure. So Gina, do you have any kind of wrap up encouragement or so, or what you're most excited about, or and what you want others to be thinking about as they're moving forward?
I think the first thing is just get on with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to make a start. You'll get better at doing it. You'll get quicker at doing it. But if you don't get started, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. I think the second tip is, as I have been doing the description, which is where you can make those links to leverage your other things. I've now got scripts for different books, for different subjects, with hashtags and so on. And I cut and paste. So there are lots of ways that you can create shortcuts. And what I would say is go and look at both of our YouTube channels.
Yeah,
and
share your channel.
Mine's Genuinely You. You can see that in the behind me. It's Genuinely You with Gina Gardiner. And you'll find, I think yesterday, at the last count, there's something like 590 videos on there, and they range in lengths of time from 10 seconds to an hour and a half, couple of hours. So there's lots on there. Go and have a look, and please do comment and let us know that you've been there and that you've come as a result of listening to this. And your channel, where should people go to look for yours, AliNICOLE?
Well, with the video that's in here, it will be the Wow, She Has It All. Multiverse Majesty Marketplace.
And the other thing I would say is, if you want some help, reach out.
Absolutely.
The details will be in the description.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do this alone. And ultimately, I think, if you were going exploring, you're going on a holiday, an adventure into the to the jungle, you wouldn't dream of going into the jungle without somebody who
Yeah,
knew
without a
the
guide,
jungle.
right?
So reach out and get some guidance. The training, there's lots of training available for those who like to do self-study, but if you're somebody who prefers to work face-to-face, then we can do that. And so
Absolutely.
but ultimately, get on with it.
That's right. Get YouTube done and now, right? Get YouTube done now. Thank you so much, Gina. Again, I'm so proud of you, and I love how you come and allow your own development and journey to be a part of other people's experience. And I'm looking forward to the podcast series that we'll be doing together. And of course, just everything else that we have just, emerging. It's just phenomenal stuff, for sure. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for listening. Those of you that are, it's a great world out there, and you can have it if you choose.
Oh, absolutely. You really can, for sure. I definitely co-sign with that. And with that being said, thank you all for joining us, as Gina mentioned. And as she also mentioned, that there's information in the description. You're going to be able to find two links to her channel, and also other ways that you can connect with Gina, so you can get to know more about her personal and professional branding, and see what her leadership mission is all about, and yeah, and then so much more. And of course, there's things in there that you can avail yourself to. We have some articles that will help you take what you're doing, to the next level. So we hope that this has been encouraging and empowering for you to, as Gina said, get on with it, and and get YouTube done now. And for those of you who have been getting YouTube done, wishing you continued momentum and elevated success for sure. All right, we'll be back with you again soon. Take care and stay blessed.